First item on our agenda is citizens' input. First person to sign up to speak is Erica Scott, 187 Pittman Street. Subject matter is the water deal.
Good evening, councilors. Is this on?
Yes.
We good? All right. My name is Erica Scott. I reside in the Flint, and I'm here to ask you today for your support for two resolutions that are on the agenda regarding the water deal with the proposed Invergy power plant in Burrillville, Rhode Island. Invergy has invested $1 billion into this proposed power plant over the objections of our town officials, our friends and neighbors in Burrillville. I really encourage you to be good neighbors and stand with them, similar to approximately 85% of towns and cities in Rhode Island, as well as adjacent Mass and Connecticut, and pass the resolution condemning the plant overall as a project. I'm also asking for your support of the resolution suggesting non-renewal of the contract, which, as a fact check, Assistant Corporation Counsel Gary Howie recently confirmed is a 6-year contract, not a 3-year, as we have been previously informed. It's 3 years after the plant opens. So I wanted to briefly comment on the environmental impacts of the plant that drive me to be here today. A week ago, I took a week-and-a-half-long trip to our country's second largest oil producing state of North Dakota, and I saw firsthand the impacts of fossil fuel extraction. I saw hundreds, probably thousands of fracked wells, and I learned some information I wanted to share. Now, the process of fracking uses pressurized water mixed with chemicals to force natural gas and crude oil out of the earth. During this process, natural gas comes out. About 1/3 of the natural gas cannot be captured, and so it's burned off in a process known as flaring. I was really shocked when I arrived in North Dakota at night. I saw hundreds, if not thousands, of lights across the prairie. And it was kind of a beautiful sight, and I've been researching and found that NASA can actually see this flaring from space and has photographed it. But something that looks so beautiful is actually extremely detrimental to humans, to our environment, and to our planet. Flaring adds millions of metric tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. It's a greenhouse gas that contributes to climate change and makes people sick from smog. I can attest to the very noxious smell. Every day, 350 million cubic feet of natural gas is flared off in the back-end oil fields of North Dakota, which translates into $1 million of gas lost every month. Now, if they're losing that much in gas, this really attests to the sheer scale of the stakes. Now, I've heard some people say the plant will never be built. Well, if they're investing $1 billion into it, and just learning about all of the millions of dollars that literally are going up in smoke, I really beg to differ. There are huge corporate interests that will really not be stopped to make profit. I brought back some water.
Motion to waive the...
Motion to waive the rules has been made by Councilor Kilby, seconded by Councilor Pelletier. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Councilor in seat 6 opposed.
I brought back some water from my trip. This is Lake Sacagawea, which is the 5th largest earthen dam in the entire world. This product, Garrison Dam, was flooded. They flooded this area to make the Garrison Dam to establish a reservoir for millions of people throughout the Midwest. Now, as you can see, there are dozens of fracked wells mere yards from Lake Sacagawea, which feeds into the Missouri River. That's where this water is from. You're welcome to try it or to smell it. You can smell absolutely the contamination. Now, residents in Pennsylvania, where Invergy power plant will be getting its fracked gas from, have also complained to the EPA for years about the negative health impacts, the smell, and the taste of their water. I'm sure I don't have to remind you that many residents of Fall River have been complaining about our water taste and smell as the water has been turning over. But we're told that water is safe. I can't say the same for this water. So I'm asking you to keep Burrillville in mind as you vote tonight, I'm asking you to keep this water in mind. This deal is not good for our city, it is not good for Burrillville, it is not good for our planet, and it is not the direction that we need to take for any kind of economic development. So I really hope that I can count on you tonight for your leadership for the residents of Fall River. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person to sign up to speak is Dale Friedman, 64 Bauer Street, regarding water.
No takers?
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Our water is a precious resource.
Bring the mic closer to you.
Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay. Our water is a precious resource. We're blessed to have an ample supply here in Fall River, but climate change has aggravated and accelerated. Let me start. Climate change, which has been aggravated and accelerated by burning fossil fuels and fracking, that both pollutes the groundwater and threatens the supply of water globally as well as nationally. In the west and south of this country, droughts have become the new normal. There are even some towns nearby that every summer you see the water bans going up. And under these circumstances, I actually believe that it's irresponsible to use our precious water for a project that threatens the water and the environment in general by utilizing fracked gas and increasing both air and water pollution. On the practical side, I'm also troubled by this contract. It seems to be indefinite. It has no set beginning and no set quantity to be supplied. By the time the plant goes online in 3 or 4 years from now, our water situation could have changed, and yet we're obligated to supply from 0 to a set maximum of gallons, which may or may not really be feasible in the future. I've not read the contract, but at the last hearing, Council for Van Water made it sound like a non-renewal was at their discretion, not Fall River's. I pulled the councilor aside, and he said, no, that's not true. You can always get out of it later. But surely you may have to find cause. No one knows what our water supply or demand will be in 6 or 9 or 12 years. Just as an example, thanks to 3 years of drought and a political decision that misallocated water to agriculture in South Africa, the city of Cape Town is on the verge of running out of water. In just 4 years, that is between 2014 and 2018, the water system went from 85% of capacity to just 25%. So, not to sound like, Chicken Little, the sky is falling, but it is something that with changing climate could indeed happen. I know Fall River will never rival the People's Republic of Cambridge, but I would like to think that I live in a community with a conscience and a concern for our environment and our future. In our cash-strapped city, the annual retainer, though fairly small, may be welcome. But if anything is to change, we must put our conscience above our pocketbook. Please vote in favor of both resolutions. Thank you.
Thank you. Next person here is Sally Manzella, 20 Stage Point Road in Plymouth. Is there a motion to waive the rules?
Motion made.
Motion to waive the rules is made by Councilor Kilby, seconded by Councilor Stephen Kamara. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So voted? Madam? Because you're an out-of-state resident, we have to, out-of-city, you don't live in the city. Sorry, not out of state. 3 minutes.
Good evening. I must say, during the times that I've been at meetings here, I keep thinking to myself, what kind of a person would be a public servant? Because it kind of seems like it's intense, am I right? Anyway, thank you on behalf of the residents of the United States for taking your job seriously. You've heard a lot, I know you have, about the science of frack gas. You've heard a lot about the potential benefits for the city, even as a contingent provider of water. I just want to take it to a slightly different place where I ask you to step out of your current mindset and the current work at hand and think about the future. I don't know if you have children or if you have grandchildren, nieces, nephews. They're going to inherit a world that's going to be appreciably different from the one that we're living in right now, for many reasons. Fossil fuel usage is dying around the world. People are simply not, governments are simply not going that way. And you've already heard all the reasons why. So even though there might be a short-term benefit to the city to sign this contract, to be a contingent provider, I ask you to look at the bigger picture, the moral imperative, which is that you are responsible in part for providing the world for the future. So it's short-term gain as opposed to long-term responsibility. And just please keep that in mind. I urge you to vote yes on both of these resolutions, because besides the people sitting in this room, there are people all across the city and the state who rely on you to make the right decision for their future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next person via email, CJ Ferry, 300 Buffington Street, weight water increase. Madam Clerk, 3 minutes.
Members of the council, I wish to address you today regarding the proposed water and sewer rate hikes being proposed by Terry Sullivan. At the Committee on Ordinance and Regulations meeting, Mr. Sullivan stated very clearly that he had dipped into last year's free cash in order to pay necessary expenses this year. The primary focus was that a water and sewer rate increase was necessary in order to build up the free cash account, which is hogwash. Free cash means overtaxation, or in the case of the water and sewer department, overcharging the end user. The City Council has stopped taking into consideration the limited income of the city taxpayers. This is not Boston or Newton, as was reported by Urban Renewal Report. The average income listed was less than $24,000, and the median income, according to the U.S. Census, is approximately $34,000. This is not a lot of money, and with Mr. Sullivan's incessant need to continual increases, taxes and fees, and making a point that certain fees, such as stormwater fee, were not raised, is poor. I have a 3-tenement building, and I recently received a water bill in excess of $600. Such increasingly high water bills will result in a necessary increase in rents that my tenants and many other tenants will not be able to afford. These increases are becoming necessary, but out of the increased wages and outrageous increases giving to department heads and administrators, something that the City Council fails to curtail and constantly agree to new positions and higher pay rates that are absolutely unnecessary. Statements that they are bringing salaries in line with Boston is ridiculous. Even when the unions go to arbitration, Boston is not a comparable city. It is time for the salaries that Fall River pays are reflective of the median income, and that the fees charged by the city always take that limited income into consideration. It is always funny that when tax and water fee increases are proposed, you are given a cost of 9 cents per CCF or other low figures, and are given the bill for a single-family home. Single-family homes appear to be in the minority in Fall River, and the rate increases given never seem to appear, and the costs are much higher to the people. The blatant misrepresentation must cease, and actual cost and percentages must be given publicly, whether it be for a water or sewer rate or for pay increase. If the cost of living goes up 2%, but a water rate
15
goes
seconds.
up 14%, how can it be justified? While these percentages are demonstrative, they are how the Water and Sewer Department misrepresents data to this council and to the people of Fall River. The buck stops with the...
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's another one via email.
Just if I may,
Counselor in seat 3, Counselor Kamara.
how much was left to finish the letter?
A few sentences.
Could we have the finished sentence?
You want to waive the rules?
Yeah, I would
Counselor?
move just to finish those last two sentences.
The motion to waive the rules has been made by Counselor Stephen Kamara, seconded by Counselor Kilby. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Counselor in seat 1 and 6 opposed.
2.
In seat 2, roll call, Madam Clerk, on waiving the rules?
Councilors Kadim?
No.
Joseph Kamara? Stephen Kamara?
Yes.
Kilby?
Yes.
Lullaby LeBeau?
No.
Long?
No.
Pelletier? Yes. Viveras? President Ponti?
Yes.
The motion carries, Mr. President. I'm sorry, the motion fails, Mr.
Motion
President.
fails. Next person is Laureen Savard, 76 Emmett Street in Central Falls. It's an email that was received, water issue resolution, 3 minutes.
Motion to waive the rules?
Motion to waive the rules?
Second.
Motion to waive the rules is made by Counselor Stephen Kamara, seconded by, hearing
Well,
none.
I actually seconded it.
Did you? Okay.
I thought I seconded
Well,
it.
I didn't hear somebody make a motion
I
to
think
waive
my-
the
I
rules.
think my colleague made a motion.
I think he was asking for the motion. Is that
Can I get a
correct?
clarification on who made the motion and who seconded it?
Motion, there's a motion that I heard by Counselor Stephen Kamara. I did not hear a second. I think Counselor in seat 2 said we need a motion to waive the rules out of common courtesy. There has been a motion to waive the rules, no second. Is that correct, Counsel? No second.